Hello, tea friends. This is Barb Gully of Barbs Tea Service.
Hello.
Hello, Chris. Good to see you.
Yes, it's good to be seen.
Yeah, so here with On TV Studios, we are doing Podcast 24.
Uh-huh.
Chris, studio engineer, co-host, and arm candy.
Yes. We seem to be missing one. What happened to 23?
Oh,
Uh-huh.
I'm glad you said that.
That's right.
So we are doing two
Uh-huh.
this week.
Yes.
Really ambitious.
Yes, yes.
So we did Podcast 23 on Monday, but it was our first remote podcast.
Uh-huh. In a secret location.
In a secret location.
Well, not that secret.
We had our special guest, our son Rob.
Right.
And we had it at his home on a lake.
Right.
And we are going to be posting that
Yep.
remote podcast
Right.
soon onto our YouTube station, Barb's Tea Service.
Right.
But we do have a sneak peek
Yes.
preview.
Yeah. 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 We'll do that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that it's a couple minutes. It's posted already on our YouTube.
Yeah.
And we do know we need to work on the lighting.
Yes.
So,
Right.
but
Yep.
everything kind of went.
It went great.
It went great
Yes.
for our first remote.
Yes.
You know, you got to start somewhere.
That's right.
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 So this is 24,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to kind of mix a few of
Yep.
our remote podcasts
Yep.
and last week's podcast, some of the topics.
Right.
So I'm going to say ciao and good day, Chris.
Good day. I said good day.
Well, you did.
Right.
So we were talking about tea rooms in Italy,
Uh-huh.
and we're going to conclude
Yep.
today with our tea room in Venice.
Uh-huh.
And then we're also going to talk a little bit about British speak.
Ah.
And we're going to do that courtesy a British tea room in New York.
Yes.
Okay.
Very good. Very good.
And then we are going to wrap up with some etiquette.
Mm-hmm.
If we have time.
Yep.
Because when we were at Rob's, we tested him on some dining etiquette.
Yes.
And he got the answers right.
Right.
But he questioned them.
He has opinions.
Yes. Since the day he could talk, he
Yeah.
was always questioning.
Yes.
And usually that's a good
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It usually is. But
Yeah. Very good.
So we're gonna circle back for that rationale.
Right.
And then we have also another protocol etiquette question, but not dining. It's apparel and accessorizing.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I know
okay.
you like accessorizing.
I do.
Okay. And so we're going to broach
Okay.
a topic on brooches.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But first, tea.
Very good.
Okay. So today we're trying Rosie Lee tea
Uh-huh.
from Tea and Sympathy, a tea room in New York.
Yes.
So do you think you could,
Oh, yes. Let's
get that-
Take a look at that.
on the camera,
All right. It's up.
okay. So that's the tin, the tea
Uh-huh.
tin. It has the picture of the tea room
Right.
on it.
Uh-huh.
So let's take a little taste.
Yes. All right.
This is
let's-
Rosie Lee.
Okay. That's a very good. It's a black tea.
Right.
Kind of straightforward. Little earthiness maybe.
Yes.
Okay.
Great. You
Yeah.
picked up on that
Yeah.
because this is a breakfast tea.
Right. Okay.
It's a breakfast tea. And we had talked about breakfast teas before in
right.
earlier podcasts, usually more of that stronger
Right. Right.
kind of.
Some of them to the point of peatiness or something.
Exactly.
Like that. Right.
Exactly. But this says on the label that it's refined for the American palate.
As it should be. Right.
And I'm not exactly sure. It is smoother, I
Right,
think.
right.
I think they've got that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite as
Yeah.
peaty or
Yeah. Right.
anyway. It's very good.
Mm-hmm.
And I chose this for a reason. So
Uh-huh.
first I'm going to talk a little bit about where I purchased this
Okay.
tea.
Yep.
And to let you know, this does have caffeine. We brought it to a full boil
Yep.
and steeped it for about 4 minutes.
Okay.
And this tea I purchased at Tea and Sympathy. It
Mhm.
is a tea room in Greenwich, New York. So
Right.
it's Lower Manhattan.
Right.
And I've been there 2 times. I was
Uh-huh.
there in 2007
Yep.
when I was starting enhancing my tea education.
Right.
I was there with Elizabeth Knight,
Right.
the former tea sommelier at St. Regis.
Yes.
So she took me all around, and she said, "You've got to go to Tea and Sympathy," when she dropped me off.
Right.
And I loved it because what reminded me, we had just been to England in 2006, and it reminded me of some of those just unassuming, unpretentious tea rooms.
Yes.
It's not the Ritz. It's not Claridge's, and I love those too.
Right.
But this was just kind of your standard.
It'd be something you'd find in maybe an English village.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
It had that vibe.
Yes, it did. It has the old wooden floors, the bric-a-brac on the shelves, the stout little teapots.
Right.
So I was there in 2007, and then we went back in 2022, 2 years ago.
Right.
We were there with Matt, our son, who lives there, and we had a wonderful afternoon tea.
Yes.
It was great. But I had written about this in 2 blogs.
Right.
My 2007 blog.
Yes.
barbsteashop.blogspot.com.
That's an early one.
That was our first year of doing the blog.
Right.
And then one in 2022. So if
Okay.
you want to know a little bit more about Tea and Sympathy,
Yep.
there you go. You can go to those blogs. But the reason I selected this was because of something else that was on the label. And the name Rosie Lee.
Right.
It comes from what they refer to as Cockney rhyming slang.
Yes.
And what it is apparently it's something where they pick something that rhymes with the word they're referring
Right.
to.
Kind of emphasizes it. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Rosie Lee becomes tea.
Right.
So we're having a cup of Rosie Lee
tea, and it rhymes.
So I thought, well,
Right.
because you had actually won something for us.
Yes.
At what was that? Oh, the Magic Show.
Yes, it was. Yes.
And it's hosted and the
By
performers.
a very nice British couple. Yep.
Right. And they tested us on British speak.
Right.
And you won for our table.
Totally guessing.
Yes. And we mentioned this in the remote podcast, and we tested Rob on it.
Right.
Because one of the words was lug hole.
Right.
And you said
misshapen earlobe, because I was attempting humor.
And everyone else was kind of off,
Yeah,
but you were close because it's ear.
Right.
So
Yep. There you go.
There you go.
You learn something new every day, whether you want to or not.
Exactly.
Right.
So
all right.
Let's see. All right. So we're a little all over the map today.
Yeah. Right.
So if you can follow along, great.
Right.
All right. So now let's move on to Menace.
Menace. Uh-oh.
That's my Cockney slang rhyming for Venice.
Very good. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so last week we mentioned that we had been in Rome. We went to a lot of different places, including Babington's Tea Room, right on the Spanish Steps. But that was not all of our Italy tour. We also spent some time in Florence, and we spent some time in Venice.
Yes.
Okay, and Florence, we went to the Uffizi Gallery.
Right.
And I'm going to just put this book up there. This was one of the...
Very good. Okay, it's on. Yep.
Okay. So that was when we were in Florence. This was my little takeaway from that. And we got to see, oh my gosh, I use the word awesome a lot. But this is what is really awesome. I mean, these are these Renaissance painters, pictures that everybody has seen, but not up close personal necessarily.
They're a real thing.
Oh my gosh, they're incredible.
Yeah.
And then Michelangelo's.
Right, the David.
The David, yes. And it's so perfect.
I know, yeah.
It almost seems fake.
Yeah, I know.
So for all you conspiracy theorists out there, maybe it isn't real. No, we don't want to spread anything like that.
No.
Okay, so when we were in Venice, though, this is where we really splurged
we did.
On accommodations.
Yes.
And you were working with someone, you had a coworker who was Italian.
Yeah, he was,
from Italy.
Yeah, right. And he recommended this place.
Right, and that was?
The Hotel Becker.
Yes, and it was beautiful.
Yep.
And I'll even say our room was somewhat palatial.
It was, yes.
And it had 2 little balconies overlooking a canal. So we weren't on the Grand Canal, but there's a lot of canals in Venice. That's what it's known for. And Rachel and I would make our tea. They had this lovely tea and coffee buffet in our room.
Right.
And we each would sit on the balcony and watch the people going over the bridges and the boats going down the canal.
Drinking it all in.
Yes.
Literally and figuratively.
Yes, you're right.
All right.
And then, so we'd watch the boats go. And when we were in Venice, of course, we did the
gondolas.
You have to.
You have to.
Right?
Yes. It's required.
It is required. But there was one thing that I think really captivated you on this canal.
Yes.
You spent some time watching.
I did. Well, so just I was kind of curious how this worked. So they don't have streets. They have basically a lot of waterways.
Right.
And, you got to take out the trash somewhere, somehow.
Right.
So I happened to notice basically a kind of a gondola / scow pulling up. And so I kind of watched that. That was, it's odd that that's kind of a high point for me, but that's what I do. So it was kind of this, people would put their stuff out on the balconies, and this kind of crane thing would come up, and it was not a hurried affair, to be sure, but it got the job done. So anyway, that's my fascinating Venice story.
It is incredible because it's those details are kind of lost.
Right.
It's like, how did they do that?
Yeah,
you think about it.
Yeah.
So you got to witness that.
That's right.
So anyway, we go back to St. Mark's Square.
Right.
Kind of the central place in Venice.
Uh-huh.
And we went to Cafe Florian.
We did.
And this was recommended, as we said earlier, by our friend Pam, who had been there a few times.
Right.
And she said it's very crowded, but you'll love it. It's pretty. It's historical.
Right.
And the food is great.
Right.
So I thought, I talked to my editor about a story for Tea Time, and she said, go for it. Sounds great. So we had kind of a private tour and experience. It was really, really quite wonderful. So one of the managers, Anna Marita, she came to greet us.
Yes.
And she gave us a tour of the whole place. Remember?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Real VIP stuff.
Oh, yes. And she was just so warm and friendly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think she knows a stranger.
Yeah.
I felt like I knew her forever. And she gave us the tour. She brought us into this one room where they have the infinity mirror.
Right.
And you can see like 1,000 images.
Right.
So I recommend go on a good hair day.
You have to.
Because you don't want to be seeing that for 1,000 times. But they also showed us how they had those tables designed, and you can tilt them and swirl them.
They're these heavy tables, but they're very movable, and it's because it is so crowded, there's a lot of people. It's a big enough space, but it's not overly large.
No.
And they had to be a little creative with how you pack people in.
Absolutely, they did. And so space is always a premium there. But I think it also accommodated some of the women's fashion too. It was easy for them to get in and out. But that was really really amazing to see all the little rooms that they had.
Right.
And then of course the food.
Yes.
Delicious, incredible scones, sweets, savories, and everything is just so artistic.
Right.
It's all served on the silver platter. And even they had an herbal tea.
Yes.
And it was made from rose petals. So it has this like lovely cherry hue.
Right.
And it's served in a French press. So you see the glass. And then they have, on the lid, there's a little glass bead that matches the same color as the tea.
Yeah.
I mean, all detail.
Yeah, right.
So beautiful. How can you not love it?
Yeah.
But I thought it might be interesting
to
talk about the history of this place. I mean, where did it come from?
Yeah.
So we mentioned Babington's had history that dated over 100 years.
Right.
Well, this has got them beat by a couple centuries.
It's been around for a while.
It has been.
Yeah.
So it was started in 1720 by Floriano Francesconi.
You've been practicing that.
I still will probably get it wrong.
Right.
But it was started in the 1720s, and over the years, it's attracted a lot of famous people, a lot of artists, including not just us.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
But Casanova, Balzac, Shelley, Byron, and later Hemingway.
Amazing.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so our guy Floriano, he starts at just this 2-room coffee house.
Right.
And then when he dies, his nephew takes over in 1776. Yes, his nephew takes over. Valentino.
Right.
And Florino's a great guy, but this guy apparently exceeds him in just this big personality.
Right.
And all this charisma.
Yeah, kind of a showman.
Kind of a showman,
Yeah,
yes.
right.
And so he expanded the footprint of the cafe, and he also fought the government because at the time they had banned women from patronizing such venues.
Yeah, well, we're not going to stand for that, are we?
No, and he didn't, and he won.
That's right.
So we have much amore
Yes, right.
for Valentino. And then we get to the 19th century, and then it just transforms.
Right.
They're bringing in the artists from the area,
right.
and they just create this gorgeous spot.
Yep.
And it has frescoed walls, carved ceilings.
Mm-hmm.
They've got those beautiful red velvet benches and the marble tables.
Yep. A place to see and to be seen.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. I think we were being watched by nobody.
Yeah.
But okay, so then they also expanded the menu.
Right.
So they had their typical coffee and chocolate.
Right.
That would be what the locals were used to, but they expanded to include tea to attract the foreigners.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
So they've added onto the menu. They've remodeled this beautiful place. And then in the 1900s, for about 70 years, there's a family called Vidaldi.
Right.
And they run it.
Right.
Until 2009. And it sold to an investment group.
Right.
But lucky for patrons, they've kept the spirit of the cafe.
Yeah. It was wonderful.
It was. And Anna Marita, she was so excited and so happy. And she just said, when you come here, it's something transforms. You change when you walk through the door.
Yes.
It's magical. And Floriano had said his motto was always wear your best smile.
What a great thing.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think we were wearing our best smile.
It was great.
Yes. And I put on my best smile when I think about it. And I want to show a few things from the tea room.
Okay.
So can you see the book in the background there?
We will shortly. Okay.
See that?
Yep.
So that's all about the cafe. Anna Marita gave us that along with a lot of tea. And this is their packaging.
All right.
Again, beautiful.
Yes.
And if you want to learn more, this is in the January-February 2019 issue of Tea Time.
There it is.
Yep, there it is.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
So we covered all of that. And
all right.
Okay. So good on time.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Excellent. Then we're going to leave Italy for a little bit. We're going to say ciao.
Ciao.
For a bit.
Right.
And maybe to return again. But now I wanted to talk and shift gears to etiquette.
Yes.
One of our favorite topics.
It is.
And we've talked a lot throughout our podcast about etiquette.
Yep.
We've got a book.
Yep.
Barb's Tea Service, 12 Etiquette Essentials. And there are really two reasons why etiquette exists. And the first one is, as we've discussed before, it's a class distinction.
It is. It's a marker.
It's a marker.
If you behave a certain way, you're pegged. People know who you are.
Yes. So like when we were talking about wearing white after Labor Day.
Right.
There may have been some small practical reasons for that.
Right.
But really, you could still wear white.
Right. Yeah.
But if you did in the Gilded Age up until probably the past few decades, fairly recently, people thought that you're breaking the code.
I know.
And you are.
Yeah. I think it kind of persists to this day in some circles.
A little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit. But they don't toss you out. They may talk about you.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. The other reason is just to be considerate and respectful, thoughtful, and to provide a little bit of order.
Yes.
So things aren't so chaotic.
We hate chaos.
We do. And excuse me.
Yeah.
Still doing the allergy.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, folks.
Stop it.
I know. So with Emily Post, she is the guru. She's the one who really literally wrote the book on etiquette.
Yes.
And she's very much for that. She's a proponent of the second reason.
Right.
No, let's be thoughtful. Let's be considerate. And I would highly recommend reading her book.
Uh-huh.
It's a good read.
Yeah.
It's still fairly timeless.
Yes.
And it's funny. She's got a good sense of humor.
Right.
So anyway, she was the one who stuck to, okay, if it makes sense, let's do that. So when we were talking to Rob, we quizzed him on when you're at a dining table and you're passing the food, which direction do you go?
Yeah. You don't think about that, but it's important.
It is important. And you pass it to the right.
Uh-huh.
And he got it correct.
Yes.
But then he said,
well, why?
Why?
Yeah.
Is it because most people are right-handed?
Uh-huh.
I said, that makes sense.
Yes.
I said, I know it's a convention.
Right.
Because it's like driving on a certain side of the road. In the U.S., we all agree on one side.
Right.
Well, more
or less, yeah.
Except when you're on the road.
That's right.
Everybody gets in front of you.
That's right.
Sadly. But then, so it's a convention, and everybody agrees to do that.
Right.
And so it won't be chaos. So he was on to the fact that the right hand kind of, most people were right-handed. It's sort of established that way. But like Emily Post does say, it has to make sense too.
Right.
So if somebody on your left
wants the salt or the mashed potatoes, just give it to them.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to go all around. Yeah. And or even a table, a chair or two over.
Right.
And also look at the setup.
Right.
I mean, sometimes maybe right won't.
Yeah.
But if it does make sense, that's a good order. Remember to do clockwise.
Right.
Or counterclockwise.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Counterclockwise.
And it's one of those things that if you see somebody passing food to the left and everybody's doing right, don't blow your etiquette police whistle.
Yeah. Well,
would you?
I did not know that was a thing. At least there's a whistle.
Well, we just want to make sure that people aren't going, oh, that's the wrong way.
Yeah.
This is.
Oh, or if you're gonna kind of elevate your speech, you'd say if you're passing it correctly, it's adroitly, and if you're passing it the wrong way, it's gauche.
It is. That's right.
Am I clever or what?
You are very clever, because gauche means left in French, and people weren't crazy about going left.
Yeah.
It was sort of considered.
It was gauche.
Yeah, and now, I mean, there's so many left-handers that you just go, oh, that's They're usually artistic,
right?
And we know someone in our family named that. Okay, so yes, you could say that.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I just did.
Very clever.
All right.
Okay, so then the other protocol or etiquette question we had was from a faithful listener, also an attendee of one of our recent teas.
Yes.
So we had this tea that I talked about last week with 12 ladies in a tea room, and on my invitation, I suggested, if you'd like, wear a favorite pin.
Yes.
And I do it for a couple reasons.
Right.
One is because it's a conversation piece.
Right.
People, you learn about some of their histories, like where they purchased it. Maybe it was at when they were on vacation or a certain spot, or it just brought back memories or reminded them of their grandma or their mom.
Right.
And so that was one reason. And the other reason is you just don't really get a chance to wear these.
No.
And they're so pretty.
They are.
And they're generally mostly for decoration.
Mm-hmm.
So we had most of the people who wore them, but our faithful listener said she noticed that she was the only one that wore it on the other side. Everyone else had it on one side.
Right.
She wore it on the other.
Right.
Is there a convention for that?
Uh-huh.
And there actually is.
Okay.
Because early on, pins were used to just put things together. They didn't have zippers and Velcro.
Yeah.
So
they had a utilitarian function.
Yes, exactly. So then, in Roman times, ancient times, people are just gathering stuff together. But then by the time we get to England, the royals, the aristocracy, they would pin them on the left.
Right.
And that's because there was so much greeting and reaching out.
Yes.
And most people are right-handed.
Mm-hmm.
That they would be able to see the pin or the brooch.
Look at it.
Exactly. So that the tradition now is to wear it on the left, and that way most people can see it. You think about too when you go to a business meeting or convention, you put your hello on, on this side because most of us are shaking with our right hands, not to leave out our.
Who knew?
I know. So now we do know.
Right.
And I had a couple of special brooches.
Okay.
One, I'm wearing the pin.
Okay. Yep.
That you won for the lug hole.
That's right.
A little British pin.
Yeah.
Then I have this one that's from our daughter Rachel.
Yes.
It's a sunflower.
Right.
And that was the theme of her wedding and her shower.
Yeah.
So it has a lot of special meaning. And then I have another one that I brought, and I don't know.
All right.
I'm going to take this out. I'll place it on the box. It might show up a little bit better.
There you go. Yeah.
You see it?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So my mom bought this for me back probably in the 90s.
Right.
And she was in Stratford.
Right.
With her retiree group. And Stratford, Ontario.
Right.
And among their things to do, they got time to shop. She saw this in a gift shop.
Right.
And it's this Victorian lady, kind of in these, it's got diamond chips and a parasol. Very much not my mom's taste.
Yeah, yeah.
She was very much streamlined.
Yep, yep.
But she knew I would love this. And she got a kick out of it. She thought it was really neat. So she purchased one and brought it home. And I tried to look it up because I took it out of the box 2 years ago when I did a Gilded Age tea talk at the Troy Museum. And a lot of people were asking me about it. So I was like, I'd like to find out more about it.
Yes.
And I came up kind of empty. The jewelry manufacturer is, I think they are now evolved into some sort of home party business. I'm not sure.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
And if anyone knows about this, I did write about this in a blog in 2022 in one of my What Is It Wednesdays.
Okay.
And I didn't get much more information, but I love it. Yeah. And it's just kind of a nice remembrance, and I think they're kind of fun.
Yeah.
Also, something to think about with you wearing on the left side.
All right.
It's close to your heart.
Ah.
So if you're a romantic, it's kind of a nice place to put it.
Very good.
Okay. So, how we doing on time?
We got about 2.5 minutes.
Okay, great. Because I just wanted to conclude with a brooch that Princess Anne wore recently at a charity gala. It was one that came from Queen Mary. She bought it for her sister like in the mid 1800s.
Okay.
So then she was just the Princess of Wales.
Right. Yeah.
But when she became queen, when she became queen, it's not Mary, Queen Alexandra.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. That's right. And then it went to Queen Mary.
Right.
And it's a lovely pin, and she wore it because it came to Queen Elizabeth.
Right.
And it is now worth about $600,000.
All right. Well, not a bad investment, I guess. All right.
So how about that for a pin?
All right.
A little bit more than your little British pub pin.
Very good.
But if you want to look that up, check out the gala charity that she was at, and you can see the pin.
Very good. Okay.
So we are...
I got about a minute and a half.
So we're going to be looking for more adventures for our remote podcast.
Yes. Okay.
And
Watch Out World.
Yes, we're going to, like you said, we're going to go where the tea is.
Right.
And want again thank everyone for listening on TV Studios for letting us be here, and their equipment. Our special guest Rob, who is our lifetime guinea pig.
Yes.
And check out all the stories I mentioned. Will be in the blog.
Yes.
And I think we're.
Yep.
Does my lug hole hear a special sound?
Wow. There we go. All right.
All right. So thanks everyone for tuning in.
Yep.
Thanks, Chris.
All right.
And as we like to say, please stay tuned.
Very good. Okay.